In Christmas spirit of Bungie, they decided to give us a new game mode to try out in trials for this Christmas. And for most people, this just means it's time to step outside and not sit and play trials all weekend. And thank you, Bungie, for giving me a reason to not play. But on the other hand, it's igneous hammer, so I do want to play. But let me just explain. This game mode works pretty simple. If you've played Checkmate Control or Checkmate in general, it will be very similar to that. But the difference is Dominon, I'm pretty sure it's called, which is the Trials game mode. And Dominon works with there's a zone objective that you need to capture, and if you die, it's the same as Elim, where you have to get rezzed. And then once, everyone dies or you capture the zone, you win. And it's first to 5 rounds. And then you have Checkmate, that basically makes it so if you want special, you have to either capture a zone to get bonus progress, get kills, or yeah, that's kind of about it. And it has reduced ability regen, which means you barely get any abilities, so your most reliable source of weapons is going to be primaries. And this is where the problem starts, right? Because you had specials in the game to balance out some of the broken primaries, or at least stronger than normal. So first one is Wish Under, which has wall hacks. This was really easy to counter with just a sniper, or any sort of special in the game. Then you have Sturm and Drang. This is a very potent combo, and it does get outshadowed by a special weapon. You have Craustesia that allows you to free someone after a kill. You have Osustriga that doesn't even need to aim. You just fire in one direction and you kill people. Then you have Revision Zero. This thing can become a sniper rifle. Okay. Crimson. Now this is an odd one because the reason I'm making this video is not because I think the game mode is challenging or hard. I actually think this is easier to win this week than it usually is. Just 2-stack with someone that, knows how to use a primary weapon and you win every single game. But Crimson was the only weapon that really fucked me over. And, Crimson actually flinches you a lot. So it was harder for me to hit my shots more consistently. And it would just kill you so unbelievably fast. We played against 2 people who just hold hands and team fire with Crimson. And it also has a common theme where I lose significantly more often to someone with a controller than a mouse and keyboard. I actually don't even think I've lost to a mouse and keyboard player yet this week, which is pretty crazy. Anyway, that's besides the point. I'm not trying to talk about controllers or mouse and keyboards in this video, but I want to get to next one. Malfeasance. Hit 5 shots on a target and they explode. And this works with anyone. If you have 3 people on Malfeasance, 1 person, as long as 5 shots been hit on them, they will explode. As simple as that. Then you have Teraba. Something that is actually really potent in a game mode like this, where people don't die necessarily too often because of the health increase. So you will just be able to stack your Ravenous Beast up, and then you can actually shred everyone in the whole lobby. And it's really, really, really good. Now, this other one is more of a, oh my god, it's basically a special weapon. Now, the only thing that I'd say, kept Devil's Ruin balanced was its ammo economy and, of course, special weapons. But now, since we don't have to worry about either, this weapon is kind of just on its own. It's, running around freely, and it absolutely shreds you. And Devil's Ruin is really, really potent inside of this game mode, surprisingly enough. And then we have a special weapon. You're wondering, Nico, glaives are special weapons. They can't be that crazy. You can punch people. And you just go around, swing your melee with your Enigma or whatever glaive that you choose to use. And you don't even need ammo to begin with. Just go on Arc Titan with ACD. And you basically won't be able to lose gunfights. I know it sounds crazy, but trust me, glaives are actually really good inside of this game mode, because there isn't shotguns to shut you down. There isn't any, ability spam to keep you in place. You can just run at them with a fucking glaive and it will work out. Of course, we have Symmetry. Symmetry is also really good because you won't get kills that often. So the way Symmetry works is you stack headshots up until you get your other's firing mode. And the more headshots you've gotten before you swap firing mode will increase the damage of the bullets. So it just allows you to do insane amount of damage if the game goes really slow. And then we have probably one of the most controversial picks, Fighting Lion. This is a primary grenade launcher, so it allows you to just fire this thing as much as you like. You don't have to worry about running out of ammo. You don't have to worry about peeking to begin with, as long as you know how to traject the grenade launcher. It's really, really potent, and people don't seem to realize how good something like a fighting line with a SMG actually might be. Because if you play Titan, for example, you can just run in at people with your PKs, and if you play Stasis, you can get incredible movement speed while ADSing, and you can just make your enemies basically not being able to hit you because of your strafe speed. People still don't understand how fast strafing is with elemental capacitor moving target with PKs on stasis actually is until they play against it. It literally looks like you're sprinting in game for how fast you're running. Tikus can also one-shot people as long as you have hit them with the firing arrow. As long as you get the firing stack on them, Sacred Flame, you will make them boom and they will die, surprisingly enough. Now, this is just some of the weapons. I will say exotics definitely have a more potent reasoning to be used inside of this game mode. Triple Rat King, really strong, no specials to shut you down. Sweet Business, you can just sit there and shoot in one lane, don't have to worry about getting sniped. You have Suros Regime, the gun starts firing faster if you just hold down the trigger. Cerberus is a kinetic, it's a primary shotgun actually. Thorn, you kill someone, pick up the burn, and then you start doing incredible amount of damage. And just in general, these weapons just are way better than they normally would be, because the counter to them usually would just be a shotgun, sniper, fusion rifle, whatever it might be. And it just allows you to be able to do whatever the fuck you want. Primaries definitely is getting its spotlight, but I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Because for me, this is taking away the Destiny 2 experience as I know it. Because people are like, oh, you can just use handcannons now and SMGs and it's all good. And then as soon as I put on something that they literally can't fight against, like a wall hacking bow, they start crying and whining in my DM saying, you're so cringe, oh, whoa, whoa. And look, I've played enough trials to understand that what I am after is the loot. I have been farming Iggy's hammer. As you can see, I have a bow counter and an Iggy counter on my screen. Bows is how many bows I've matched, and the igneous one is how many igneous I've gone this week, or just in total actually. I've gone around 30 this week, and I've only played one day. So overall, it's not too hard to farm for as long as you never fucking lose. And to prove you that I have this many igneuses, this is the page of my igneuses. This is 81. Count them if you want, but I'm just telling you right now, that's the correct number. And then we can also go into exotics. Movement exotics are really good in this, but you also have something like Peregrine Greaves. So when you have your shoulder charge up, you can one-shot people. Or you can put on Severance Enclosure. You get a melee fight, and you make them explode. That's really awesome to play against. ACD, it lets you win any melee fight, and then you can pair it with Knockout. Because Knockout is a passive ability. So as long as you just break a shield, you proc Knockout. I know, crazy. And then of course you have Laurely Splendored. Sadly, it's procced off your Barricade. You have Precious Scars, which is really good because it allows you to heal as long as you get a res. One-Eyed Mask. This is actually one of the strongest ones, and I think the person I was playing with really liked One-Eyed Mask with Sturm and Drang, because he would win so many gunfights with his Drang, get an overshield, and 2-tap the next target with his Sturm. It's really good. And this one actually caught me off guard because, you know, you need to have your barricade up anyway, but your small barricade does have a faster cooldown. Almost double as fast. So what this guy did, he put on Catamus, and he would just throw Diamond Lances every single round. And it caught me so off guard because it made me realize that even if all your abilities are locked on cooldown, you can still make plays with them, especially with something like a Rally Barricade that has a really short cooldown by standard. So you can just go Cryoclasm because it's a passive ability. You don't need to go Diamond Lance because you will make Diamond Lances with your Catamus helmet. So you can go something like this, and then you can be chillin'. You probably want to go Duskfields just because of the game mode and shorter cooldown. And overall, this might be a really potent build on Stasis. So you would go something like this with a weapon that you can easily hit 3 headshots from a longer distance. And you can't forget that A rally barricade gives you increased range and stability, so your weapon won't barely move, and on top of that, you can just beam people from across the map. Also, a PvP video on how to make the PvP miserable part 4, I think, is gonna come out sooner rather than later. So, it's gonna be the Ice Edition, of course, but I will explain everything about my stasis builds and how to make really annoying builds in general. But that will be for a later date. I got my suit on and I need to get ready for Christmas. And then we can go on Hunter. Hunter, you can go invis as much as you like. You get your dodge up really fast all the time because it has the same cooldown as the rally barricade. And this brought me to another factor that I could get my dodge multiple times in one round with Void. I know, my stats doesn't look good, but trust me, using this on a controller with Crimson and you were shredding people. You were just not gonna lose. Of course, you can go Celestial Nighthawk for faster super on precision hits. You can go Renewal Grasp for big things, but here we have Oathkeepers, you have Stompies, and of course, you can't forget about the Gemini Jesters. And you were wondering, why Gemini? You will get your dodge up often, and you can disorient and go invis over your enemies, so they won't be able to find you or see you. And this I found really dumb. You can also use something like Capri Sting, which allows you to get wall hacks as long as your enemies get hit by a smoke grenade. And your smoke grenade is not hard to get, because you get your melee ability back whenever you do your, melee dodge. And then you can just throw your snare bomb and you're chillin'. Like, the thing people don't realize, oh my god, a game mode that benefits hand cannons specifically is good, right? You forget that they took away the biggest counter to most weapons, which would be a special weapon, which makes the game feel stale, boring, and as much as you like to see this, it simply just doesn't work out. And look, I played Destiny in year 1, some people really liked it, it had the more competitive feeling that people enjoyed, and people didn't like it. The general majority of the player base just didn't like the view and the gameplay that Bungie was going for. So people weren't playing the game and barely anyone was playing PvP. And maybe you find some people who liked it, like Kamicakes, because he's more into a competitive feeling, game. But Destiny 2 certainly doesn't fit it with as many abilities and dumb weapons that we have. You will never get the perfect sandbox that you want as much as you'll like to just disable every exotic primary, any weird fucking weapon. It doesn't help. Destiny 2 will never have a balanced sandbox, and the only way you can play this game efficiently is if you choose to build craft. I know, the scary word that all the weirdos use. Build craft, yes. If you can't, make a loadout that will make you more efficient, because that's how it is. Barely anything is up to skill in this game, and it doesn't matter of aim, it doesn't matter of whatever the fuck. If you have a build that can just out-cheese your opponents better, you win. And that's how this game is going to go for as long as I can see it. And that's why I don't think this game mode is good whatsoever. It makes the game mode stale, boring, nothing's happening. The games aren't necessarily harder, they're actually easier. And look, I can go on my Warlock, put on Karnsteins, heal Grenade, and I will never die. I will just simply never die. Or I can even put on Stag to get damage resist inside of my Rift. Because yes, you have more health now, so you're harder to kill, and if you put on something like a Stag, you simply can't get outgunned in your Rift. And as boring as this sound, that's just easier times to win. It's not hard for anyone to understand how easy it is to abuse this new game mode as much as you like. And of course, I like the Destiny we usually have. I am not a big fan of, changes. Maybe once in a while it's nice to have like a little party game mode that you can play. I used to be big into momentum, and I bring up this every time. What if instead of them giving us checkmate, what if they gave us momentum instead? What would people say? What would people think? People would die too fast. The gameplay would be way too fast for people's liking. And it's the exact same thing Checkmate does. For most people, the gameplay is too boring, too slow. And look, as much as you like this game mode, it punishes bad players even more. And I know this is what you like to hear. Bad players, they're suffering. Let's say you solo queue, for example. You're gonna have the worst experience in the game. You're gonna have a miserable time because your teammates, if they can't team shoot with you, you will just automatically lose. And that's how I found it the first 3 hours when I was solo queuing. It was more like, okay, if I don't have teammates who understand how gunplay works on a basic level, we will lose. And it showed time after time. If I go on my trials report, you will see most of my losses were in the beginning. I'm currently almost on a 20 win streak because we had an unfortunate game with Crimson Gamers that I talked about earlier. But besides the points, it's not hard. It's simply just not hard. I don't know where to go. I don't want to be negative as much as I am right now. It's just the reality of it is if you want a game mode to be more competitive, this is what you want. And there's definitely big changes that need to be put into play, like a lot of exotic primaries. They need to be looked upon if you want the game mode to be balanced. And I enjoy differences every once in a while. Like I said, I do play Momentum whenever it's around because I find the gameplay fun. But once you put these settings into a competitive environment, it's simply just not fun. Especially when Bungie allows you to queue with whoever you want. It's not like this game mode is a 3v3 anymore. You can solo queue, you can duo queue. And based off those things in general, it just makes the gameplay more unenjoyable than it would be enjoyable. Look, I might be a yapper right now, but look. So, imagine like this. If they did this change back in Season 11 when there was a big highness of cheaters, the most used weapons were snipers and shotguns, and in general, the only way you could queue into trials was with 3 stacks. You had to be in a fire team of 3 to even get into the game mode. But now you can, I can queue it up right now as I want, solo, and I have a chance of matching Chinese VPN players 3 stacking. I have a chance of matching people duo queuing very high often than not, especially playing on EU servers. You match a lot of 2 stacks. Especially, I don't know what it is, but it always seems like good solos get put into 2 stacking scenarios for some weird reason, at least more than often than not. And I can also just match 5 random players playing trials, and most of the time, the people who solo queue are on the lower skill than others. I'm not saying every solo queuer is shit, but that's what I'm saying. And the people who just want to win farm are people who duo queue with some crazy demons. And the people who are the best of the best will 3 stack non-stop and actually never lose. But it's also a higher chance of matching cheaters and a bunch of others 3 stacking. Bungie first of all need to remove the possibility of duo queuing if they even want this game mode to thrive. And I'm saying this because duo queuing kind of puts an unfair balance on people who solo queue and people who 3 stack. It kind of just destroys the solo queue pool because you have to play against 2 stacks when you're just solo queuing. Or if you're 3 stacking, there's barely anyone 3 stacking because it's just easier to duo queue. So it ruins the population for 3 stacking, and people who solo queue are unsatisfied playing with 2 stacks. And yeah, that's kind of the changes I'd like to see if they actually want this game mode to thrive. I'm not even saying this might be a bad way of the game going. This might be a good way. I simply do not enjoy the slow gameplay in this game mode over what we normally have. Because you have seen my playstyle. I like to run in with my abilities and catch my people off guard. But I can't really do that often in a game mode like this. People die much slower, and it generally just feels like Bungie's trying to recreate Year 1 that miserably failed. And I'm just saying, people might seem to like it now, but as soon as the competitive aspect goes more into play, people will absolutely hate it. We've seen it before, and we're gonna see it again. People loved zone control, now I only see people whine about it. I hate zones, please take them away, whatever. Bungie even tried this new game mode with Iron Banner this season. I actually enjoyed it, but most people overall who didn't understand how an objective is supposed to be played fucking hates it. It's not the point the game mode is bad, it's just the players don't understand how to play it, and if they don't understand how to play it, gets steamrolled, they will generally just be unhappy. It makes sense. and a lot of people were. I didn't lose a single game of that Supremacy game mode in Iron Banner, and it wasn't because it was hard, it was easy, because people have zero clue how to play it. But as soon as people learn, the game mode will be miserable, because then people actually are going to understand it. And that's just how PvP kind of goes. You have the cycles, you have the times, and this sadly is not the time. Maybe it might grow on people, but most people I've heard talk about, this game mode overall don't enjoy it. I'm sorry for this negative video on Christmas, but I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas this year, and I love all of you. And stay safe, my friends. I'll see you guys around.